Chapter 327 is titled Rest, and it's such an appropriate name because not only do we as a reader finally get a second to breathe and catch our breath between all of the action and awesome moments that have been happening these last couple of chapters, but also Deku and the rest of Class 1A also get the chance to rest. Deku probably gets his first bath in who knows how long and very much needed it. And overall, it was just a great transition period, kind of between the Deku Rogue arc, now coming into what seems like a final battle coming up for My Hero Academia. We don't know exactly how fast it's going to come. We know we have about a month in canon time before it actually does happen, but that doesn't mean that that fight might not come very quickly. But we also kind of got a tease of a more fun arc coming up for that. It'll be interesting to see what next chapter looks like, but nonetheless, we know My Hero Academia is continuing to wind down, and with them saying there's less than a month before the final confrontation, that even reinforces the idea even more. But if you guys do end up enjoying this video, my name is Andrew, and make sure to go over to the Class 1A YouTube channel and subscribe, like this video, and of course leave your thoughts in the chapter below. Let's jump into the actual recap and my thoughts on chapter 327. So it starts off with the boys of Class 1A instantly throwing Deku into a bath, proceeding to strip him down and scrub him, and Bakugo yells at all of them to make sure to actually scrub him with like industrial strength scrubbers before putting him in there so that the bath doesn't get all dirty. And Fukuyami kind of says that, well, nothing's really changed with Bakugo even after the big moment, but we kind of see that isn't fully true because he does go on with his normal speech, hey, don't forget I'm going to be the #1 hero still. But then when he looks at Deku, he says, including you, Deku, and then he kind of corrects himself to Izuku, clearly trying to change how he's talking and addressing Deku a little bit, because obviously that name to him, he initially kind of came out of the hatred, jealousy, whatever you want to call it, and Deku pretty much says, hey, you don't need to worry about this. You can still call me Deku going forward. You don't have to force yourself to call me Izuku. So it's a really fun moment between Deku and Bakugo there, kind of showing that Bakugo is a little different and has a different viewpoint on Deku, but that he's still himself overall. So again, just kind of reinforcing what that dynamic between the two are going to be like, which I'm super happy to kind of set the bar that it's not going to be anything kind of awkward for a while, that they're just back, and that's the best way to do it. And after the bath, we learn that Ochako was passed out after a big speech. Honestly, she does deserve it. So everyone else kind of starts questioning Deku about One for All. He left a note, obviously, saying what happened. So now they all have a bunch of questions and are trying to get down to kind of what's actually it, what it was like getting a quirk, and so many other questions that I'm sure you'd have and that we'd love to ask Deku ourselves. But Shoto comes in and says, hey, leave him alone, he probably needs to rest. And Deku just says that he can't sleep anyways, not at least until we apologize for All Might for pushing him away. And in that exact frame, we see All Might kind of standing outside of the window staring in at him. And all of a sudden, he appears right behind Deku, apologizes to him profusely, saying that I'm sorry that I couldn't help you more, and all these kind of other things. But Deku says, no, that I was the one that mistreated you, and that you are the one that I should be apologizing to. It should not be the other way around. But everything that you did for me during this time helped a ton, and don't feel like you ever didn't do anything for me, because clearly we know how much of support All Might was to Deku during that time. Even though Deku did kind of leave him, it wasn't because All Might wasn't useful to him, but it's because he didn't want anyone else to get hurt. And All Might, kind of happy with this, leaves kind of a comment saying that, hey, the big confrontation is going to be coming on soon. We've got new information, so kind of be prepared and enjoy this time you have. And then ends up leaving to go meet up with Endeavor and the rest of the pro heroes, who Shoto says that they're not really at the school right now, because obviously Dabi is a threat to Endeavor, just like Shigaraki is a threat to Deku. But by them not being at the school, obviously it's going to be better for everyone at UA, and people still probably aren't the biggest fans of Endeavor, as kind of Shoto brings up here, saying that we had this big announcement, we learned all about the family drama, and then we went straight into this lockdown. So people are more stressed and worked up than ever, and obviously Endeavor is a very easy thing to point at because he was a #1 pro hero when this happened. We learned about his bad background and so many more, so having him there wouldn't be the best thing, but on top of that, it's also protect everyone from Dabi. At this time, Jiro's kind of thinking about Shoto's words, saying that how everyone's not really happy with them and just kind of overall the situation, and she says, well, what is the one other time where this has happened that we were able to fix it? She goes back to the cultural festival, thinks, well, why don't we just do something that's going to make the world not just a better place, but better than it was before? So this was kind of walking the line of like, hey, as Class 1A, we're going to go out and kind of try to fix everything. Or maybe she was having an idea to do another show. I hope we don't have Jiro and the rest of Class 1A put on another performance. As fun as that would be, it just seemed very out of place in the current world. It was great during the cultural festival, but trying to force it now, or if they do force it now, I hope that the civilians react to that, because it's not what they need right now. So hopefully Jiro's kind of matured enough to realize that putting on a show right now isn't going to be the best time. Very interested to see what her idea is and how big of it is. Because it is a very big idea. This could be a mini arc, kind of focusing around everyone making the civilians feel better. And then we transition back over to finding Shigaraki and having that final confrontation. Or if it's just going to be a one chapter thing and then we move on to the real story. So very interested to kind of see where that's going. But we do get a quick jump over to for the end of the chapter, where we see Hawks telling Best Jeanist that pretty much thanks to the doctor's interrogations, the research of Nomu's at the Central Hospital, and the testimonies of a couple of assassins that Deku defeated, that we pretty much got a couple of big information. That one, Shigaraki needed 2 months to kind of recuperate after getting his power, and that during that time they're trying to get One for All before he fully kind of develops up. And that we have about 1 month left. So it's been about a month since the breakout, and now we have 1 month left. And a lot of this was kind of based off of that, but also it points towards what's staying left. So the actual papers that we saw were more or less a love letter to All Might, and that was only meant for him. Within the dagger that he left with it was a data disk with a bunch of Tartarus' security records that is going to help give some kind of information. I don't know if that points to the information that they already have, or if we're going to learn even more in next chapter about what that means. But nonetheless, having only 1 month in story time before the final fight, or even less because they want to get to him before he has that, is a very short window, and obviously those days are going to go by very fast. So if Class 1A does do some kind of event to make the civilians feel faster, well, that's almost probably going to be a week, so that's a fourth of the time there. So more than likely, it's going to be 48 hours, 72 hours before Shigaraki's fully healed is when the battle's going to happen. He's going to end up kind of getting out early and being at full force, and Deku and Shigaraki are finally going to have their big confrontation, is more than likely how this is going to go. Very interested to see what it actually looks like, but we have a timeline in the story. We have potentially 2 different arcs that could happen here, whatever Jiro wants to do with Class 1A, or actually just going and trying to hunt down Shigaraki once and for all within this month's span. More than likely, they're kind of going to be a plot A, plot B story going on at the same time, but nonetheless, super excited to see where the story's going, but also really enjoy just a second to sit back, enjoy the chapter, and not have to think about it too much, and just seeing where the story's going, because man, has My Hero Academia been crazy these last couple of months with all these amazing chapters. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did, and that picking back up in chapter 328 next Sunday is going to continue to be phenomenal. I'm sad that the story is getting closer to the end, but every single chapter up into it is going to be amazing, as we've seen from these last couple of months. So thank you all so much for watching, and see you next Sunday.